character.
So like that looks like it,
I like that idea. I should do that.
which I ran into on Thursday. We mentioned that.
I want to be Sephiroth.
Sephiroth has a much more impressive sword. That's how I ruled out the Sephiroth.
I'll make a bigger sword. That's so cool. Where's Thor? Thor said he would be here. He's lied to me. Where are you? There you are. Well, I'm reading me. If I was saying I never broke it, I still own it. I've never done this before. What's up, Zippy? That's legit.
I thought you were British and blonde.
British? I'm not Governor. Elves aren't British, though.
That was convincing, for sure. So convincing.
That's all I can say.
Governor.
I try and say Teen Trumping, and it's Guys, I don't know. Definitely just
Okay. Welcome everyone to Females in the Geek Community. We still have a lot to learn. We are going to turn the time over to our panelists and have them each introduce themselves, and then we will open up for audience questions afterwards. So let's first give them a round of applause.
Alright, I'm Des Creekcore on social media, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, everything is Des Creekcore. I am a beginner cosplayer. This is actually my first time making anything, and I've just finally, had it with the way some people are being treated in the geek community, both male and female, both fighting against each other. So I thought, why not try and start this movement, try and make it a little bit more of a positive experience for everyone. So that's me.
Hi everyone, my name is Ash Sweetring. That is Ash Sweetring Geekery on Facebook, Ashley Sweetring on Twitter. I'm an avid gamer. I can game all day, every day. I recently got into the University of Utah into their game development program. Congratulations.
Oh, you went, okay.
I was like, no, keep going. I like hearing you talk. I'm Megan Golden, and if we're doing social media plugs, Megan Golden Cosplay, Mango Lands. I made it super easy for you. I've been cosplaying probably, I believe it was May of 2013 is when it really started, but I've been making my own costumes for like Halloween and things for about 10 years. And I really like the atmosphere. The geek community just feels like home to me, and if we can make that like into a positive experience for everybody, girl power, Thor power, Logan power, and Duke power too. Everybody's cool. So.
My name is Joanie, Joanie Brosis, Joanie Brosas. All right. I'm on Facebook. My Twitter is the Orion Slave. I'm Margaret Chucky. Yeah, see, I was waiting for that. I usually go to the Star Trek conventions, so I had to make a lot of costumes for this one, but I'm all about kind of making what's in your closet, just, taking like a tank top and changing it into an elf costume or a tablecloth or something. But, thrift store stuff, homemade stuff, and just really having fun with it. And more than anything, it's about meeting people, I think, because, you wear things that you wear so you can talk about them, like, Harry Potter people or Trekkie people. We just want to talk to you about the same stuff you love, so I'm here. Hey guys, I'm Kristen Huey on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and I've been doing this for probably only 3 years now. And kind of like Joanie, I got into it to meet people. I'm a gamer, and I didn't really realize that gamers got together outside of the online world. So when I found out about conventions, I just decided to go to one, and
I heard that people dressed up for these things, and I just wanted to bring some of my favorite characters to life. So here I am today, still doing the same thing and meeting all you cool people. Technical difficulties. I am J. Zoe Frazier. I am the black sheep of the group, apparently. I love dress. I'm an illustrator, artist extraordinaire. Do a lot of fantasy work. You can catch me I'm with Wordfire Press. I do book covers and all kinds of fun stuff. So, and I'm well acquainted with the con scenario, so I guess that's why I'm here to talk about being chick.
Alright, so the main reason we're doing this, as you can kind of see there, we are just doing this because we don't think anyone has the right to belittle how geeky we are just because of our gender. We're all equal in this world. We're all geeks. We finally found a place to fit in. And I'm sure most of us were bullied. I've been bullied plenty of times for being a geek, and now I'm bullied for being a geek within my own community. So the reason we're doing this is we want to address this in a very respectful manner. We want to find ways to work together to make a more positive experience for both genders, and that's why we're doing this. So one of the first things is we need to recognize there's an actual problem, and I don't know if any of you guys want to share experiences where you've seen the problem happening, or your own personal experience of it happening to you guys.
I get that a lot. I'm sorry, do you mean size, right? Like size, gender, anything.
Any gender, cosplay.
More than anything, I get size a lot just because, I'm not curvy. I'm tiny. It explains the elf costume because they're very small. But I think it just doesn't matter what size you are. For instance, I've been wanting to do a Chun-Li forever, but she's got huge stuff up here. I know, so I want to do a different version of it, and I think that's okay with our community, is doing your own version of things that fit your body type, or fit your color, or fit, just who you are. Also just kind of changing yourself to fit that character if you want to. Me, I have a kind of an Asian nose, but I had to kind of contour it a little bit more pointy today than an elf. But, it's just fitting yourself to the character to where you feel comfortable being that character.
I'm very pro plus size cosplayer. I very much am all about plus size. You could cosplay at any size. I take very much pride in knowing that I'm not, super small in cosplaying. I will cosplay any character that I feel super proud of, and I get a huge empowerment from it. We absolutely all need to feel that way. Don't be ashamed that you're not, on huge pictures and, you were like, oh, well, I don't measure up to the way her boobs look, or I don't, be proud of who you are and embrace every single detail that you have and just take pride in it, You're the only you in the entire world,
Yeah, the way that I feel about cosplay, it's all about portrayal and your interpretation, and both of those things are extremely subjective. Everybody's going to take it a different way, interpret things differently. But as long as you feel encouraged to do that, nobody should discourage you from doing something that you really feel passionate about, and that's something that all of us like to do. We're all within this community, and as long as we appreciate each other and we can kind of have that positive influence on other people, I think that we can make this a lot better than it has been.
For me, something that I see online a lot, and I say online because I think online is it's a different animal, and people are much more cruel there. In person, I think people can't hide behind their monitors. So online, I see a lot of people say things about it not being accurate, and they're talking about race, gender, height, weight, all of that, and it really bothers me, because for me, I like to take the character and use my own creative liberties to do that character however the heck I want to do it, because at the end of the day, it's a fictional character. So I'm pro cosplay, whatever you want. I'm pro everyone should try it. Everyone should do whatever character they love. If you want to try to fit the character, that's fine. If you don't, if you want to be like, well, I love Daenerys, but I want to make her into a guy, then that's fine. You can do that. I actually just saw a Thor chick and Loki walking down the hallway, and it was really awesome. And they were actually wearing beards as well, which is the first time I've ever seen it. Yeah, it was cool. I thought it was the coolest thing I've ever seen. I actually shouted out and I was like, you guys are awesome.
Going back to the internet thing, with a lot of people that I know, especially social media, if you give out your gamer tag, if you give out like your messenger or anything like that, there is a lot of harassment that happens. I've had to delete a lot of social media because I started my Instagram and I'm thinking, hey, let's get to know the followers, let's have them ask me things, and I get a lot of very inappropriate pictures and messages. So I'm like, I can't do this. If people can hide behind their monitors, it's a much easier way for them to attack you. And I'm sure like for gamers, Xbox Live or
Actually,
everything.
the famous keyboard warrior.
Yeah.
That's exactly the word I was going to say too. I've been on Xbox Live, and probably one of the first times my user or my gamer tag was Lego, my Mago, and everyone was like, Mago, like I don't understand, like they didn't put my name like Megan, they didn't think about that, which was excellent because I get a lot of, you're a 12-year-old boy, and I'm like, fine, I'm good. I mean, as soon as the first time somebody was like, well, are you a girl? And I'm like, well, yeah, and I got called a whore, and I was like, you don't know anything about me. I was like, yeah, you don't even know what it looks like. You don't even know if I'm actually a girl or not.
Yeah, totally. All the time. I'm on Xbox Live all the time too. I'm a huge Halo fan. I Halo all the time. First time because my gamer tag is Sweet Cheeks. So, I probably should have thought that. Yeah, it was just a nickname that I got all the time because I got these big, cheeks. But immediately I would always get messages saying, oh, you're a girl, you must be, huge, you have no life, you have no career, all you do is sit ugly a lot. Yeah, absolutely. You must be ugly. Nobody must like you because you game. I'm extra confident. I'm beautiful. Like
I'd like to tell you
or like have self-confidence about anything you do. You're a gamer. Be gamer.
I've noticed I do a lot of conventions, and I've noticed a lot recently that they're starting to include harassment policies into programming and explaining to people, hey, there's cosplayers here. It doesn't matter what they're wearing. It doesn't mean that you can touch them. If you get caught, harassing people, they will eject you and ban you for life from the convention. So I'm really happy that that's kind of a movement because, a costume is a costume. It doesn't. If it's like a little less than, it doesn't mean, hey, touch me. Yes, you need to ask permission. But yes, I'm very happy that most of the places that I've been, they had it in the programming. It's like, hey, this is our harassment policy because there has been trouble with that in the past. So that's good.
Yeah, just chiming in with that. If you ever see something like that going on and you don't think it's cool, and even if it's not happening to you, if it's happening to someone else, be a hero for someone else and go tell someone, because most of the time they'll get kicked out. And sometimes we're all kind of nerds here and we're very shy most of the time, and we might not want to say anything if something bad happens to us. So if you're an observer, please tell someone.
The cosplay is not consent. Right?
Yeah. I did a panel on that a couple years ago. So.
And a lot of it, it's not just, we want to make sure we're not pointing the finger at just males. A lot of it is females within the community attacking other females. This is a crazy example I found online. There's a picture of Natalie Portman wearing the Stop War shirt, and I believe I covered all the profanity. But yeah, it's look at this hipster, look at this fake girl. And someone's like, are you kidding? She was in the movies. She knows what it is. It's not like she's a fake girl just wearing the shirt. She knows what it is. She was in it. So a lot of it is females against females. And I know a lot of it is because of the stereotype. Oh, to be, a real geek, you gotta live in a basement. You gotta be, disgusting. You gotta be all these things. And it's like, who said that? Who said that? Because as long as I can remember, I've been a geek. I hated Barbies. I like my Legos. I wanted to play Game Boy, and people would say it says Game Boy, not Game Girl. I'm like, I've been young. I was the gamer. I was a nerd, and I never felt like I should be something else. So, but it is a lot of females against females, and I didn't know, I guess you guys over there or any of us, if you have a plan or a way to help other females understand that we're not in a war, we're joining them.
Absolutely. cosplay in general, it's just such a strong knit community, and it's just something in general that you could use to meet people, and you could build huge bonds with people. Megan, she's my best friend now, and we bonded and we met over cosplay. Like, she's my number one person I go to, and it's because of cosplay. It's because we text each other constantly, hey, I need help with this, or, and, we plan to play games together. We super game together, and I feel like there's a lot of unwritten competition with female versus female in cosplay. And it's a lot of, I'm going to try to do this better than you, or I'm going to try to outdo you in this subject, or it's very competitive, especially for females. I mean,
we can always help each other succeed and achieve more. The thing with competition, you don't have to outdo somebody else continuously. You can actually help each other be better and eventually be at the same level and be able to get along in that sense.
It's not a bad thing at all. It's when I go to Star Trek conventions, I call them my Trekkie family because I'm the Trekkie. I know this is a fantasy concept. I feel like they're so accepting there. I go to the one in Las Vegas a lot, and there's so many different sizes, species, everything, and they're just so welcoming, and they're all about. I mean, the busty girls are cinching their corsets. The skinny girls, they're like me. I'm trying to fix some things, but there's Klingons there. There's every species you can think of, and they're just so accepting because. Gene Roddenberry was so accepting of everybody, and before the time of accepting everybody, he had it right. So, and that's what kind of got me into the cosplay world. It's just, embracing yourself and embracing everybody else for their little geekisms.
Star Trek in general, Star Trek in general was just, totally revolutionary. I mean, they had so many firsts. The first interracial kiss, it had a woman with a strong role, and she was black on top of it. So they were just so much about breaking down a lot of barriers. And even though it's kind of a cheesy, campy show, which we all love, but yeah, they were very revolutionary. It was such a crazy what was it? Whatever. There was a lot of hubbub because of the kiss between. Uhura and Kirk. So, they were the first ones to do that, and awesome for that. And you kind of notice even within the first classic Trek itself, it's, the very beginning, I was almost very surprised because I hadn't seen the first episode in a while. And not the first season, I guess. Very early on in the show, there was more objectification of the women. I remember there was just a scene, I was I couldn't believe it. It was Ensign's walking down the hallway, and one of a guy pulled over, kind of checked her out, and he was hey, or something. I was what? That's totally not Star Trek. What happened? But yeah, they kind of evolved in this, more just as it went on, more strong female characters and empowering women. And props to Nichelle Nichols. She rocks. Did a lot of good things.
We also have, I guess one of the most popular ways that we're seeing the things against the female geeks is online memes. We've got, comparison. If a guy's wearing a Green Lantern shirt, it's cool. If a girl wears it, it's all right, let's question you until you get something wrong. What's his real name? What's this? What's that? And then we have, Thor's going to like this one. Why did she take her to Thorland? Asgard, it's called Asgard. So there's all of these, and these are the most popular ones I've found, the nerd girl, the fake nerd girl, and people keep making them, and it's, some of these are so wrong. There's one that says, my favorite superhero, probably X-Man, Hugh Jackman is so hot. Except the person who made this forgot that X-Man is a real, character in the comics. So there's so many different levels of knowledge, and it should be more about embracing that, hey, we have a connection. Let me teach you more. Let me share what I know. Let me help you rather than let me try and find something that you did wrong so the whole world can know that you got it wrong. And, the internet is just such an ugly place sometimes because people do hide behind it. And, this is actually something that I got personally, along with a couple other females, and I've actually heard this in person, face to face, where the people say, you're a fake geek girl. All you gotta do is, bat those eyelashes, have your chest sticking out, have your bum sticking out, and instantly you want it for attention. But what people forget is, we're not doing this for attention, we're doing it because it's us, it's what we love to do. I mean, the reason I've bonded with all these ladies is they're beautiful, don't get me wrong, but the main reason I bonded with them is, oh my gosh, they're geeks. I have friend geeks, and I love it. So, I don't know if you guys want to share anything about...
Yeah, I got something to say. One of my big things, like I said before, I'm a huge gamer. The gamer girl stereotype is so different because the way I game and the way I'm involved with technology, I'm very, I wear long pants. I always call myself gender neutral. I'm going to wear and I'm going to do what I like. I'm not going to do it because it's boyish. I don't play games because I'm a tomboy. I play games because I like games. I don't gender bend Ganondorf because he's a dude. I gender bend him because I like his character. He's very strong. He's very powerful, evil, menacing. That's how I feel I am.
I don't look at that one.
Yeah, when I game, most of the time people say, oh, you're so good, how are you doing this? You must hang out with guys. No, I'm so good because I work at it. And this is what I do. This is what I spend time in my basement doing. I work on leveling up my Halo character, or I work on, that kind of stuff. Games don't have a gender. The cosplay community doesn't know a gender. It knows no gender. It's, the fact that people are picking out these small things to just tear other people down, it feels like they're tearing them down to boost their own self-esteem. And it's not okay, It doesn't work, ever.
I never feel better if I say something like that. When you say something nice, someone smiles, and then you smile, and then everyone smiles.
Something I got really introduced to a little bit ago was what they call trolling. And I guess it's just basically people that say just mean things just to get a reaction, just because. It's not necessarily that.
That's why you don't leave the trolls.
Yes, I usually pick them out.
Ban and delete because I actually don't get it very often. Believe it or not, I have a lot of people on my page, and my page is an awesome community. I'm super lucky. But every now and then I'll get a bad comment. I just ban and delete and forget about it because it doesn't really affect me. Because I also feel like it's kind of like a chain reaction. Like follows like. If someone does something positive, other people are more likely to do something positive. So thank you for everyone here. If you're doing positive things and commenting and telling people they love what you do or whatever, do that more because it makes other people want to do it too. Compliments are awesome. They're contagious. But so is negativity, unfortunately. So if someone else sees it, all of a sudden you get either a chain of negative comments back to back to back. And it's just, so don't be that person. Don't be the troll.
It's like a disease. I get it. If one person says eat a cheeseburger, all of them do.
Then all of a sudden everyone agrees.
Or you just ruin everybody's mood. And somebody will say something bad and it upsets other people, and then it starts to be, you're blah, blah, blah. It's best just to ignore those people and get rid of them instead of dragging everybody into it, because that's what they want, is a reaction.
And also, yes. Also, that's another thing. Sometimes someone will say something mean on my page, and then my awesome followers, just trying to be nice, they try to fix it for me, but sometimes they're a little bit mean back to the other person. I don't like that either because that's still being rude. So for me, it's don't even respond. It's not worth it. It doesn't hurt my feelings because it doesn't change who I am. So I don't know, other people aren't the same way in that respect, but I'm pretty confident with that. But don't be mean back because you're still being mean even if that person is mean.
The way I see it, you can never change the words that come out of somebody else's mouth towards you, but you can always change the way that you choose to accept or not accept what they use. You only accept criticism that's constructive. And it's just, you can block out the negative or you can use it to your advantage. But you should never take anything anybody says to you to heart unless it's something that is positive or something that you can do.
Yeah, we had a huge conversation about this yesterday. When I'm doing my cosplay, and this goes into anything, my art, my anything. I'm a huge artist as well. When I'm showing something to somebody in trust and I want to get some sort of feedback from them, I only take constructive criticism, and that does not mean, oh, I don't like the colors you used on this. Constructive, that's an opinion. Yeah, I want constructive. Like, oh, well, maybe you could use these colors. They work better together. And it's just watching the words that you say like that to somebody. I mean, I don't want to say professional, but I take what I say to other people when they ask me about how to do art and how to approach that kind of stuff. I'm really like thoughtful in how I'm using my words because people take words very seriously, you know, and people take body language even when you're trying to be offensive or somebody got me on right now.
I'll chime in because
I'm very invested.
yeah, like I'm sorry. There is a big difference between constructive criticism and, I mean, definitely if you go like, oh, this sucks. Well, I mean, you're just trying to be mean at that point. But yeah, and that you know, I've heard so many times being, you know, an artist or whatever is like, oh, can you take and well, that's the other thing about being a chick is they automatically assume that I'm going to be more sensitive, so they don't, you know, like, can you take criticism? Well, I'm like, yeah, you can take criticism. I mean, as long as it's not like, hey, this really bites ass. You know, like, you know, as long as it's something like, oh, okay, well, I think the composition could be a little bit stronger, maybe pump up the contrast, you know, something useful. And you know, I'm cool with that, but oftentimes, like, people look at me and they're like, oh, can you handle this? You know, you're a girl, you're more sensitive. And I'm like, I'm a professional. Lay it on me.
I had a really good experience the other day. Someone was being very, very mean on my page, and sometimes I try to take those as opportunities to show them who I am and to give them a chance to, you know what, I'm actually nice. I'm not mean. You know, I'm not gonna like bite your head off. So I was like, hey, you know, I'd appreciate if you got to know me first before you judge me, because if you want to say those words after you've met me, then you have, you know. You know who I am, and then that's your take on it. But I was like, just give me a chance, you know, meet me first. And he actually messaged me later, and really, he apologized. He's like, I found out that you're actually nice, and I'd like to meet you someday and stuff. And but I just took it as an opportunity to say, hey, you know, find out who I am, and you know, get to know me first, and then you know, then feel free to say whatever you want. But you know, it was a really nice interaction. I thought it went really well.
Did you have a question?
I did. What, in general, do you feel is the percentage of people that you, is it a very tiny population? Obviously, it's not small because you're doing this. So what does that look like? Is it 20% of the people out there?
Like weighing positivity and negativity?
Yeah, just like general, like the comments on your website.
Well,
You've got 90% positive.
For me, it's different for everyone. I have a friend downstairs, Destiny. She gets the worst comments on her page all the time, and I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's because she responds. I don't know if it's because her other followers respond and she keeps it. For me, I would say it's like less than 5% is negative. Seriously, it's not bad at all, and I just get rid of it. So
a lot of it is, you know, it's harder to say in a percentage because a lot of the time when you get a negative feedback like that, like it hurts. There's no lying. It doesn't matter how tough skinned you are. When you get something like that and people are hateful towards you, it hurts. You know, there's no lying about that. We're all people and you're gonna feel it. And you know, sometimes that stuff just kind of builds up, and that's what we're really talking to. Is we're kind of at that volcano eruption point that it's all built up, and we hear it every day. You know, we hear it all the time.
When I was looking for information on this, there's a lot of people that weren't aware that there was a problem until I brought it up, and they're like, oh, actually, I've had certain things happen. I actually had an incident. One of my friends, she cosplayed Black Cat, and she did the older version, the traditional version. And a guy goes to her, gets a picture done, says, wow, that's beautiful. Instantly, you got it all wrong. She's like, oh, well, please let me know what did I do? He's like, oh, you're just doing this for attention. You have no idea who the character is. You have no idea this. And so a lot of it is, it's weird because he wanted her picture and then he treated her like this. But when I brought it up on my social media, a lot of people started realizing, oh, wow, this is happening. But because no one's speaking out, no one's stating these things, people have been ignoring it. People, you know, don't know that it's happening. And so when I started bringing it up, I actually got over 100 messages of females and a couple males stating, this is happening, this has happened to me. So that's why I'm bringing it up, because when I brought it up, people started realizing this is happening. So it's something some people might not know is happening until you you start looking for it. And that's why the first thing we have to do is recognize, yes, there is a problem, and now what we need to work on is how are we going to fix it? How are we going to make it a positive experience for everyone?
And I also don't think that some people realize that they're the ones being negative. I think if some people will say, like that example of Black Cat, you did it all wrong. I think they don't realize that there is another Black Cat, and that it's almost like, what am I trying to say, like an anti-compliment. I know there's a word for that. Sometimes people do that too, that I can't stand it. Like, this is backhanded compliment. I hate when I post a picture of me and my friends, my beautiful friends, and they will say, "You're the hottest one." That's not nice. It's rude to my friends, and it pisses me off, quite frankly. So I don't think people realize sometimes when they're being rude, and I think, but they're not being nice.
The whole thing, the bigger picture.
This is going to be weird because I'm actually going to plug a Friends project. It's not out yet. My friend Jessica Bronner is actually writing a book about convention etiquette in particular, and what is appropriate and what is not appropriate, because honestly, a lot of people she's finding out just have no idea that they're being idiots or creepy, especially the creepy people. But yeah, they're just the geek community obviously attracts a lot of socially awkward people that they just don't know any better. So she's basically spelling it out, okay, this is how you act to people at a booth. This is how you act to people in cosplay gear. This is how you, just blatantly spelling it out, because she actually just started doing research where she was talking to people. It's like, do you realize how creepy you're being? And they're like, no.
People don't realize it, especially in cosplay. People will come up to you and you'll just be like, all right, see you later. I got nowhere to be.
You don't understand
you get a lot of
social cues.
Yeah. As soon as something starts to get a little bit weird, it's kind of like, okay, well, thank you for talking to me. I am going to go do this next. How do you react to someone who's very socially awkward? You can tell when they're trying to be a little bit creepy, and then sometimes they just really don't know how to come up and talk to somebody. And that is it's pretty easy to tell, but sometimes there's a little bit of a blurring line. But think of some fast responses, right?
Yesterday, I had really good examples of both awkward and creepy. There was one little girl who she did not know who I was. She had no idea. So I just struck it up. I'm like, who are you? Oh, awesome. Let me tell you about me. So I took over because she had no idea what to say to me. But then I got another guy sorry for being inappropriate, but how does that corset hold those up? And I'm like, what?
Very
bye.
correct.
So there's both. And if it's someone who needs help talking to you, then encourage them. Maybe strike up a conversation about what they're wearing. They're wearing an X-Men shirt. Say, hey, my favorite X-Men is Storm or Magneto. But don't just stand there awkwardly, because then they start, impressions do last. Some people might think, oh, she's not talking to me.
And you wouldn't believe how many cosplayers and just people in this community are so open to people just coming up to you. I know for sure that if somebody would just walk in this room and come up and try to strike up a conversation, I'd probably just ramble to them. I'm super open about everything, and I'm just super friendly, and I just talk. And a lot of people, it seems like there gives off some sort of portrayal that since I cosplay and stuff, I think I'm better for some reason. And I don't. I really don't. I like showing off my art, and I like showing off the talents that I have, and I like to share my insights. If somebody was to come up and just talk to me about that kind of stuff, come up and talk. And if I'm not scared.
I have a question for everybody. Maybe it could be a fun one. What's the weirdest question you've gotten as cosplaying or just working in general? What's the weirdest question you've got? Good one. I have a weird one. Someone asked me if I had underwear on. Are you wearing underwear under that? Yeah. Are you under yours? Yeah. How about you? It's a weird one.
It's just a weird question.
I've got one.
Okay.
Do you use those in the bedroom?
Oh my gosh.
I can't. Okay, that's my number one pet peeve. people confusing cosplaying and role playing.
Right?
No, I don't even have a boyfriend. No, can we just?
No, we worked way too hard on them. No, we're probably not using them in the bedrooms.
That actually reminds me of my weird question. So, because I was like, what weird question? I'm sitting there thinking, I was on the phone with somebody and we were talking, it was like downtime, and he's like asking me what I do in my spare time, and I'm like, oh, I like to play role-play games sometimes, or whatever. He's like, oh, like what is that? And I'm like, oh, Magic the Gathering, and he had no idea what it was, and he goes like, Magic to Gathering? And it like took it off from there, and I'm like, no. There's cards, and
I can think of quite a few like creepy questions or creepy comments, but as far as questions go, they always lead into like some sort of pickup line. Like when I was watching the story yesterday, and a couple of people were like, "Do you know how to use that hammer?" Because insert creepy pickup line here, and I'm like, how do you answer that? I'm like, maybe in like the comic universe I know what it does, but I'm like, I don't want to answer it literally.
You should actually. I think I would answer literally.
Actually.
I also work at a comic house around here. It's called Fear Factory. I'm the assistant makeup director there. A lot of the weird questions I get are like, are you into the creepy stuff? Or are you into like the dark, deathly, and I'm like, no, I like pink.
I get a lot of creepy comments as well, but I think the one that wins them all, I was dressed as Harry Potter, and I get from a Slytherin. So, can I slither it in? And I'm like, it's really good. I just walked away. I'm like, no.
Okay, bye.
Bye.
That was a very fun question.
But yeah, our last picture is our dear Simon Pegg, who's here today. He's actually one of the main reasons I came out as a geek, I guess, openly made a public figure geek, because he made me feel proud of who I was. Being in cosplay makes me feel proud. Being surrounded by these ladies makes me feel proud that I'm part of something. So I think that's how we all feel. We're proud to be part of something so, I guess, welcoming, and we're just trying to make it a better place for all of us.
Absolutely. We have time for a question. Okay.
Questions? Anybody? Anything you've ever wondered? Yes.
Okay, I want to go through it down the line. The thing that grew you into geeking, except for gaming, that's pretty obvious.
The thing that drew me to geeky, honestly, probably my uncle. He babysat me. He was probably the worst babysitter ever. At the very young age of probably 4, I started watching Dragon Ball Z, Beavis and Butthead. He introduced me to like Samurai X, Dragon Ball Z. He gave me my first Game Boy. And then I started realizing, oh my gosh, I'm probably not a girl. I like boy stuff. That's where it all started.
Hello. When I was really young, my parents started to notice that I was really good with technology, and I was able to fix electronics around like the house, and so they decided one day, let's give our daughter an N64. And so the infamous Pokemon Stadium entered my household. Right after that, I got the Zelda Ocarina of Time. Yes, that's so close to everybody's heart. Yes. I swear, there was just days that I would go down there. I remember getting so mad at my mom one time because she tried to get me to stop playing my Zelda game to come upstairs and eat macaroni and cheese. And I had a coloring book right next to me, and I ripped out a page of that coloring book, and I started eating the paper, saying, Mom, I'm not hungry. I want to just play my game.
No food.
I had an odd childhood, to say the least.
I don't have any macaroni and cheese stories, and I don't remember eating paper. But my dad he collected action figures, and he kind of grew up in the era of like Marvel comics and like all of those things. And so I grew up with comic books. My parents had an NES before I was born. I still have it. I'm actually trying to fix it because it no longer works. But I grew up with games like Zelda and like Castlevania, Metroid, Battletoads.
I do a Sam's cosplay, by the way, everybody.
Yes. My favorite game console, Sega Genesis.
Yeah.
I grew up with that. I had it forever. I was talking to Geek Tyrant. I was talking to them earlier, and I
Go
was
check out their booth.
there's a plug. But like, I loved games like Zombies Ate My Neighbors, Toe Jam and Earl. Like, games were like just the biggest part for me. And then when I found out, like, people can dress up like that all the time. Like, I want to be those people. And so I kind of grew up like collecting action figures. I still do that. Just anything like nerdy, it's because of like just the way my parents raised me, the kind of stuff that they liked, and I just kind of got introduced to that. My dad is an artist, and he just, I don't know, watching him like draw things, I was like, well, I want to look at this comic book and I want to try drawing it. I can't draw, by the way. I've tried. But yeah, just all things that my dad introduced me to are the reasons why I like most of the things that I like now.
Oh goodness. I think I had little tiny things throughout my life till I kind of grew up old enough to ask for an Xbox 360. But before that, I had cousins, and I had 3 boy cousins and 1 girl cousin. And I remember, being a little girl, I didn't understand, boys in this room, girls in this room. So I'd sneak out onto the roof of my girl cousin's window, and I'd go over to the other one so we could play, like, I think it was like, what was it? I know it was Street Fighter, lots of Street Fighter, and I wasn't supposed to be seeing this stuff at all. But I'd sneak and go play, and I just had so much fun doing that. I remember going to my friend's house playing Kirby. I loved all of those things. It was just so much fun. My dad was a Trekkie when I was younger, and I was like, oh geez, Dad, please. But then I decided, one of these days I was like, okay, let's watch him, right? And I was like, oh geez, no, I'm a Trekkie. But yeah, I've gone to the convention. The first convention I went to, I was like, you know what? Go big or go home. So I just painted myself green, and that's why I'm just the Orion Slave Girl. I've done that ever since, and it's opened up such a fun community where I can really be myself and meet such cool people from so many different places. It's really, really fun. I loved it.
My story's pretty much redundant. Honestly, I've been gaming my entire life because I have a huge family. I have 4 brothers and a sister. And I think my parents bought us gaming consoles so we would leave them alone. So, it was Super Nintendo, we all grew up playing together, Super Nintendo, and then, my older brothers had the systems before that. That was for me. And then N64 and PlayStation 2 were like my favorite era. And then I moved into PC gaming in like 1996-ish. All the Blizzard games were coming out. StarCraft and World of Warcraft and Diablo 2. Diablo 2. So I became a PC gamer from then on. I cannot do first-person shooters on a console, so I will not play with any PC for the win.
Oh,
PC for the win for me.
Shut up, Brady.
I will play the other fighting games.